Did you know that in 897 AD, a dead pope's corpse was dug up, dressed in papal robes, seated on a throne, and put on trial? This isn't a Gothic horror story. It's a real event in church history called the Cadaver Synod, one of the most bizarre, grotesque, and unsettling spectacles ever staged by the Catholic Church. The man behind this madness was Pope Stephen VI, and the victim, Pope Formosus. Formosus had died 9 months earlier, but Stephen had a score to settle. With Rome in political chaos and power shifting like sand, the papacy was no longer just a religious seat. It was a throne soaked in vengeance, ambition, and retribution. To understand why this happened, we need to go back a few years. Formosus had been a controversial figure. Before becoming pope, he'd been excommunicated by John VIII for supposedly stirring rebellion. Though the ban was lifted, the tension never fully vanished. His reign was tangled with politics, including crowning Arnulf of Carinthia as Holy Roman Emperor, which enraged the faction supporting Lambert of Spoleto. When Formosus died in 896, Pope Boniface VI briefly took over before dying under mysterious circumstances. Stephen VI, a supporter of Lambert, became pope shortly after, and he wanted revenge. And that's when the madness began. Stephen had Formosus's body exhumed. The corpse was rotting, decomposed, but it didn't matter. It was redressed in papal robes and placed on a throne inside the Basilica of St. John Lateran. They called it the Synodus Horrenda, the Dreadful Synod. A deacon was assigned to speak on behalf of the dead pope. Yes, he had to answer for Formosus, while his corpse sat silently in judgment. The charges? Violating canon law, assuming the papacy illegitimately, and serving as bishop in multiple cities, a technical violation of church rules. Of course, the trial was just a show. Stephen raged at the corpse, declaring all of Formosus's acts null and void, including his ordinations. That meant dozens of priests and bishops were suddenly stripped of legitimacy, sending the church into disarray. As punishment, Formosus's corpse was stripped of its sacred vestments. 3 fingers of his right hand, the ones used for blessings, were cut off, and his body was tossed into a pauper's grave. But even that wasn't the end. His body was dug up again and thrown into the Tiber River. All of this stemmed from a toxic mix of personal vendetta, political rivalry, and power games that blurred the line between religion and blood sport. But here's the twist. The grotesque spectacle backfired. The people of Rome were horrified. The public backlash was swift. Within months, Pope Stephen VI was imprisoned and strangled to death in his cell. The next pope, Theodore II, annulled the Cadaver Synod and had Formosus reburied in St. Peter's Basilica with full honors. His successor, John IX, banned trials of the dead forever. So why does this matter today? Because the Cadaver Synod is more than a dark footnote in history. It shows how institutions, even those built on ideals of virtue, can be consumed by power, ego, and vengeance. History often repeats itself, not always with corpses on trial, but with systems bending to the wills of those obsessed with control. And it reminds us, if power can dig up the dead to silence them, what might it do to the living? If you're fascinated by strange, forgotten moments like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're diving deep into the most jaw-dropping stories history tried to bury. Thanks for watching. If this story blew your mind, leave a like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this video with someone who loves weird history. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another wild tale from the past. See you in the next one.